So I've secured the coffees, and I'm gonna have to say, I wasn't planning on jumping back on here to speak to you guys. I was gonna go straight home and I was gonna crack on. But I need to tell you about this. I've come with a little bit of a rant, but I've turned it around with a fun fact. Didn't expect that coming, did you? Boom. Right, I'll see you in a minute.
Hey you lovely lot, and a very warm welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, Xander, as always, and in today's video we are going to be covering the past 12 weeks. Today I am in the back end of my deload week, preparing for what's to come next. In this video I wanted to take you through all of the progress I've made so far, how I made it, a roundup and a recap of the process, essentially piece together all of the videos I have done over the past 12 weeks to show you in a very short space of time what I have done. And also, I understand that people are busy, so you probably don't have time to watch all the videos. So I'm going to try and put all those bits and bobs in here in like one big update. That's at least my intention, but we'll see how it goes. Without further ado, let's get into it. You are all well. I hope you enjoyed last week's video, and if obviously you're dieting at the moment or you have a dieting phase in the future, definitely give that one a save, because hopefully it'll give you some ideas of what you can do to either work on your discipline or some psychology around that. If you've got anything in regards to actually sticking to the plan or the plan itself, then hopefully this whole kind of series has been helpful. So anyway, this morning, and in fact this entire week, I've been deloading. I think I mentioned this in my video last week. And so for those of you who don't know, a deload is essentially just a week where we look to recover. So you could call it a recovery week if you wanted to, because it's essentially exactly the same thing. And the way I do that is essentially take all the work that I normally do, take everything down in terms of the sets that I do. So instead of doing, sets of 3s and 4s and things like that, I just do 2 sets of pretty much everything. There's a couple of exercises I keep at 3 just so the general volume of the week isn't too diminished. Then I have basically 90% of the weight I used last week I used this week, except for my second 2 sessions, which I'm about to start now, which is 50%. So the session is really quite, I want to say pointless. It's not pointless because it feels pointless when you're doing it because the weight is so light and it's just going through the motions. But when you're doing compound movements and when you're doing things that are more skill-based, so squats and things like that, it's really important to keep up the momentum with those lifts. It's really important to be keeping up with the movement patterns, because then when I go into week 1 next week, I haven't just had 2 weeks between the last time I squatted. It would just be, I did a lighter session but I still went through all the movement patterns. So that's a really important thing to remember, and I think that so many people look at deload weeks as pointless, but actually they serve a massive purpose. So with my deload weeks, what I tend to do is I try and get more sleep, because obviously the sessions take a lot less time. I tend to have lie-ins. However, I've really not needed it this time. I feel pretty well recovered, which I'm surprised by, but I have been at maintenance obviously for the best part of a week now. So normally I'd be in my deload week and I'd still be eating in a deficit for the majority of that time. I usually go back to maintenance for kind of Friday to Sunday period, but I didn't this time. I went back much earlier because I hit my goal, as I will talk about shortly. The be all and end all of this is the deload week's gone really well. I'm in a really good mood, generally speaking, and so yeah, into today then. Essentially, I got up, I went to go to the gym. I'm obviously recording this a little bit of a day in the life today, but when I got to the gym, or rather, I didn't even make it to the gym. When I got in the car, I thought, oh, that's a lovely sunrise. I'll take a quick video of that before I start recording. Realised my camera had no battery. Brilliant. I had like 2 bars, and by the time I'd recorded a bit of an intro, a bit of a hello and all that good stuff, I would have then got to the gym and I wouldn't be able to record any exercises, because I'm basically building a, obviously if you're part of the Team JLX crew, you'll know that I've built a bit of a form library at the moment, which I'm really excited about, mostly because I'm really fussy with form and I'm really fussy with how people perform things, but I'm also really fussy with, hello Rocket, I'm really fussy with how people teach them. Hello, come and say hello. Look. Yes, you're famous now, look. You okay? Yeah. But mostly because a lot of form videos are A, shit, and B, people don't use the right cues for them. So I got a bit annoyed with that anyway. Started creating my own. Yes, Rocket, I can hear you, but not everyone on YouTube would like to hear you. I'm going to record a few videos for that, and I'm obviously going to go through my normal deload session, get some steps in, and then I am going for coffee. Now, interestingly this week, 2 points. Firstly, I don't drink protein shakes when I'm on my deload. I just don't need to. I get enough protein in my day-to-day life. Apparently he needed his breakfast as well. So I just don't need to, because essentially I get enough protein in elsewhere, because I like to eat the food, and actually when I'm hungry it's better to eat food, obviously. Basically I put my creatine in my squash, I have this every morning so I don't forget to take it. So instead of having my protein shake, I still make a drink in this, and I just put my creatine in that. Now normally I would have my Cocoa Pots before I train, but I already did that, and so what I did is I just, instead of going and getting all panicky and throwing my toys out the pram, as soon as I realised my camera didn't have battery, I turned it off, I came in, I plugged it in, and I just moved my whole day. So far this morning I've done all my client messages, I've done all my client emails, I've replied to any coaching applications, and I have also done my email for the email list, my Instagram post for the day, and I am ready and set to go. This has got battery. So without further ado, I'm going to eat now, which would normally be my post-workout, which is now still the same, so still the same skier, but I have 40 grams of the granola stuff instead of 30, but I'll talk through that all a little bit more shortly. And for now, I'm going to get stuck into this, and I'll speak to you guys soon. See you at the gym. Hey folks, all done. It's a really good little session. It's really busy actually, which is, it obviously makes recording things a lot more difficult because you obviously don't want to catch random people in your videos. At least I try my best not to anyway. When I do, I tend to try and cut them out. But yeah, all done. So that took me about 30 minutes, literally the actual session aspect of that. It took me about 30 minutes. It really didn't take me very long at all. So I'm just literally changing my shoes now because for some reason I walked out of the gym in my weightlifting shoes, which is a terrible idea because that's not really what they're for. So anyway, changing my shoes now, and I'm going to get a coffee. So I'm going to have to take a walk. I could obviously get my steps in the gym, but it's a nice day, so I'm going to get my steps in, grab a coffee, head home, and then put this video together for you guys. See you there. So I've secured the coffees, and I'm going to have to say, I wasn't planning on jumping back on here to speak to you guys. I was going to go straight home, and I was going to crack on. But I need to tell you about this. I've just ordered 2 coffees, and one of them is a single shot cappuccino, the other one is a skinny mocha, okay? And I said to the guy, hey, can I have that one as a medium and that one as a large? He said, oh, don't worry, they all come as medium size. And I thought, wicked, fine. What I did not expect, however, was this. That's not a medium cup of coffee. I'm sorry. Like, that is a medium cup of coffee. You know, if they were together. But they're, like, to give you some reference on how small this is. Right, here is a card, okay, like a bank card. And this is the coffee. This is a standard size card. That is not a proper coffee. I feel so hard done by here. Now, I'm sure they're gonna make up for it with taste, because they do make really nice coffee, but I mean, whew, that is taking a mickey. And while I'm here, I'm gonna impose some fun facts about coffee. Now, first fun fact, I'm actually a trained barista. When I was at university, I managed a pub at the weekends and worked there some nights during the week. So I usually worked like Friday night from 6 till 11, and then I did Saturday from 10 till 6, and then I did Sunday 10:30 till 10:30. So I pretty much worked my whole weekend. And in part, I needed to do that to get through university and obviously get the money together to keep me at university. Obviously have some spending money as well. So probably didn't need to work as much as I did, but if I wanted to have some spending money to do something, then I had to. So anyway, I was trained as a barista while I was there. And a fun fact, right? 2 things. Firstly, it's espresso, not expresso. ES. That's like my biggest bugbear. And secondly, fun fact about why the drink is called an Americano. So I was taught that the reason it was called an Americano was because when the Americans were in Italy in World War II, they didn't like how strong the coffee was. So the Italians watered it down and named it the Americano because essentially all it is an espresso with added water, so it's a little bit weaker, and that is why it's called an Americano. So I've come with a little bit of a rant, but I've turned it around with a fun fact. Didn't expect that coming, did you? Boom. Right, I'll see you in a minute. Hey, okay, let's go through all the data that we've got, basically looking over the 12 weeks at what I did, essentially looking at the process. What we'll do is we'll go through the calories, we'll go through the plan and basically recap on everything, and then I'll show you the results. So we'll show you what we've done in this time. And the reason I'm doing the result last isn't to be clickbaity, it's because actually without the process you don't get that result. So I want to put more emphasis into the process and show you what, if you get the process right, you get at the end of that. If you don't want this, skip it and you can just go check it out. Up in front of us here, we've got the 12-week nutrition. Now, I deal in ranges, I don't deal in exact numbers. So what I've done here is I've just put the maximum number in. So for example, I started at 2,200 and the range was 2,000 to 2,200. So I was eating in that range. I did that for a couple of weeks and quickly realized that when I ate much lower, so down around the 2,000 mark, I was really starting to see some differences. 2,200 wasn't giving me much. If you want to go back and check out those videos, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So after that 2 weeks, after the initial kind of water loss and the weight loss, I realized, yeah, okay, I know where I'm going to need to be. So I set my calories down then from 1900 to 2100, and I stayed there then for quite a few weeks. I think 6 weeks or so I stayed there. And then things started to slow up. I started to feel a lot less hungry, a lot more in control, and in general just fine. So I dropped them down again and I went to 1850, which you can see here. And then that big spike there, that's just my maintenance week. I could have taken it out, but I was at maintenance for this week, which is what I'm in now. So I thought, hey, may as well leave it there. You'll see the nutritional aspect of how this looks. So protein never changed. The minimum protein I ate the whole time was 190 grams. That did not change. It fluctuated. By that I mean sometimes I ate 201, sometimes I ate 193 rather, but it never went below that as an average. It never changed, and it shouldn't do. Fats also didn't change, so fat stayed the same. The minimum was 45, however I actually ate a lot lower than that. If you guys have been catching up with my weeklies, you'll see that. That's just personal preference, that's personal choice, and it has no detrimental impact on me as far as I know, so I don't recommend it, but if you know yourself very well, you can get away with it. So as you can see then, where I make the most change is actually in the carbohydrate area. Now, my carbs started at around 220 and they finished at around 180. Then we're looking at the actual weight loss we've got here. As you can see, we started at just kind of 182.75. I weighed in on the Friday and the Saturday at 184, came in on the Monday, which was the first day of this, which is the weight I've used, at 82.75. Obviously I had started to kind of sharpen things up around that weekend, which is why I got the initial kind of pound and a half of weight loss through the weekend, which mostly would have been water. This is the trend line I set a few weeks back, and I've just kind of followed it really well, and not by purpose. It is just a trend line I set, which basically said I would be at 160 pounds by kind of week 14 and a half had I have carried on. Now this little scoop that you can see, that kind of line that goes up, that is just where I've gone back to maintenance. So if we have a look at this, you can see that the highest weight I recorded was 172.75. The lowest weight, which I got my 11th week. So essentially it was the week before the deload. So week 5, I weighed in, my lowest weight was 164.5, and I went through that week, I felt pretty good. It was my partner and I's anniversary that weekend, and I'd originally planned to just kind of go back to maintenance for the day and then, you know, go out for a meal with her. As it happened, because I ended up hitting that weight target that I needed so early on in the week, so it took me 11 weeks and 2 days, I actually said, okay, well look, I'll see out the week, and on Friday I'll go back to maintenance for the full week so that I can really drop the hammer next block. So the next block, I thought, if I can wipe out as much fatigue as possible, if I can get rid of any hunger, if I can get rid of any food focus, I can really go at this next block hard and see what we can get. So that is why I've done that. And obviously maintenance weight, it went up. I hit my lowest weight on I think it was Tuesday, and it just kind of hovered around there all week, but my lowest was there. So I think on Friday I weighed in at 164.75. On Monday I weighed in at 169, so it's a £5 increase over the weekend, but my digestive system was a mess. I'd eaten out quite a few times, generally very accurate with tracking and things like that, but just that initial bounce was pretty hard. And to me, I knew it was going to happen, so it wasn't an emotional thing, it just literally was 169. I was like, oh, okay, is what it is. Anyway, it's come back down now, so I've had a couple of weigh-ins now in the low 166s, which basically puts me around £2 up from the end, which is about 1.5%, which is spot on. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so a quick recap then. So the process itself, 5 sessions per week, which was lower push pull, lower push pull, so 5 sessions, no cardio. My daily step count started at 9 to 10k and it finished at 11 to 12, so that is all I did. No cardio, literally just the steps. If anything, I actually dropped something because I was playing rugby every Monday and I dropped that as the fatigue of the training and the diet picked up. So if anything, I did less towards the end of the block than I was doing at the start. Okay, how am I currently feeling? Well, this is a really good question, and it's something I like to ask my clients. It's something I think is really important to understand before we go into the next phase, so that we can preempt anything that may happen, or, you know, if we need to make some changes, higher calories, things like that. For me, I feel brilliant. I feel fantastic. This is probably one of the best exits I've had from a diet, and it's not a full exit, but it is a full week at maintenance. I've handled it really well. I've learnt loads from my mistakes in the past, and I've made tons of them. Believe me, I've made so many mistakes with diets and exits and things like that in the past that I just choose to learn from, and that's the best way forward. Make the mistakes, learn from them, and of course, move forward. So yeah, I'm feeling great. My sleep has been good this week. My hunger has been fine. I've had a few pangs, but nothing major. And essentially all I've done is just increased the meal sizes of things I'm already eating and adding in a few extras as well. So I had a few sweets here and there. I've had a dessert here and there. We've been out for dinner, we've been out for lunch, and generally speaking, I have had a few more calories from, you know, foods I really love, as opposed to just eating 300,000 grams of veg every day, which I would do if I needed to and I was very hungry, so it's well worth the mention. But as I was saying, sleep has been fine, fatigue has come right down, my muscles feel good, I feel good, I feel energetic, I feel really very happy and excited for the next block. So for now, let's dive into these progress photos and we'll check out the videos as well. So as you probably noticed, we've had a bit of a change of scenery since the last video. Long story, but it doesn't matter. Right, so we're gonna have a look at these, my progress videos now. So looking at this, generally speaking, still got some visible abs, still got some visible quad, generally speaking, got some degree of kind of shoulder and upper body kind of leanness as well. Obviously I've shaved and I've got a tan from a holiday I went on before that. So generally speaking, I'm in a much better photographic position in this video than I am in the next video. But then if you take into consideration where we are kind of now, very, very different picture, very, very different view. So yeah, I think these kind of speak for themselves more than anything. But if we put them side by side, what you'll see quite clearly is the changes. So I'll do that now. As you can see, I mean, these photos side by side, I think speak for themselves. I don't think you need me to point out the differences between them. But I'm very much looking forward to the next phase. So obviously I'm back at maintenance now. I've got a couple of days left at maintenance, then we're going to go back. We've got a super busy November, as I think I might have mentioned in my last video, with a couple of trips to London across the weekends, some other family events and things like that. And previously I hadn't intended to go all the way through. I've always intended to do a 2-week exit strategy for this. So I am still going to do that. I'm still going to run the 2-week exit because that's really important to me to make sure I solidify this as a sustainable process rather than rebound hard. So I am still going to do this. I am probably going to update you further on this when I've really solidified the plan, because I've no idea what I'm going to be faced with when I get back into it. My initial plan is to do 4 weeks. So instead of doing a 5-week training block and a deload, I'm going to do a 4-week training block, a deload, and then I'm going to obviously work in that exit strategy as I start the new block. This should give me ample opportunity then to get out of that phase into the next phase without obviously the hunger and things like that really ruining all the progress I've made. So really looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to seeing what the next block brings, because this is going to be a bit of a new territory for me. This is probably the leanest I've been, to be honest, and it's also the best I've felt at this level. So I am excited to see what happens next. I'm apprehensive, but hey, we'll update you and see how we go. That's it for this week's then, folks. As always, please do like, subscribe, and of course hit the bell icon so you don't miss any more. And if you have any questions whatsoever, stick them in the comments box and I will answer them, as I have done across the last few weeks in these videos. Take good care, much love, bye for now.